At SCGCon in Indianapolis, we interviewed James and Sebastian, two players from Kentucky piloting their latest version of Modern Infect. Let's see what new cards they have inside their deck.
They show up and they're like, oh, what's going on here? A bunch of people are gathered in a room watching a couple of people play with cardboard, you know?
I think it's a lot of fun getting to meet the people in person, play a bunch of events.
Never touched this deck ever.
I would just break it down with the gameplay. The gameplay's fun.
We're back, baby. Infect is a really tough mechanic to interact with if you're not ready for it.
I've always loved playing the janky style decks, the ones that are combo-ish in a way. So with the new set, All Will Be One releasing and the Venerated Rotpriest coming into play, I wanted to see Infect make a return.
And it makes for a very interesting environment, especially with the release of the new Modern Horizons sets, where it's kind of shaken up the format and changed what was really a few stagnant decks for quite a while. One of those which was Infect at the time, and it kind of fell out because all of these new cards came out that just made it a little bit obsolete. And we're back, baby. Normally, whenever you attack with a creature, it deals just regular combat damage. With Infect, that damage is instead done to creatures, -1/-1 counters that make them weaker, and to players in the form of poison counters.
Primary strategy is to make one creature, or if you would like to spread it out, you can, but it's primarily one creature really big, get it through to the opponent.
And instead of the 20 life that you would normally have to take from a player to win the game, with Infect, you only have to deal 10 damage. If they have 10 poison counters, it's game over. Mainly the brand new set that's coming out, Phyrexia All Will Be One, it's come out with some really good cards that actually make the deck relevant again and turn it from this, I'm going to beat you up really quickly deck to I'm going to punch you really quick and then just kind of sit and play the slow game. And it's really made it more versatile in the meta right now that's just so removal heavy. Mana base is a lot of fetches and shock lands to make sure that you have proper color fixing, as well as to help thin out the deck so that we're not just drawing into lands during very important turns of the game.
We do run the Inkmoth Nexus. Yes, while they are lands, I don't really consider them lands in my build. But yes, you would use them as man lands, turn them into creatures, and swing out. The
creatures are pretty much the standard creatures that have been in Infect since some of the beginning, which are Glistener Elf and Blighted Agent in the particular Simic variant. And then, of course, we got the brand new card of Venerated Rotpriest, which is just a really good way to slow down the game and kind of play it a little bit controlling and grindy.
So with the Venerated Rotpriest, we would use our Infect creatures when we do the boosting, the casting our spells to make them bigger. The Rotpriest triggers on target, making our opponent gain a poison counter for each target, and therefore killing the opponent in half the time.
And then otherwise, just the 4 Inkmoth. It's very light on creatures. There are certain spells that we classify as pump and certain that we classify as protection.
So in my build of Infect, I do run your basic Infect package such as Mutagenic Growth, Might of Old Krosa. I do cut down on the Vines of Vastwood. Usually the old decks used to run 4, I run like a 1 or 2 of. That's about as far as the old package that I run.
Protection is just anything that keeps our creature from dying, and we've got a few of them like Apostle's Blessing. We have Tyvar's Stand, which is from the new set. We have Blossoming Defense, which is a pump and protection. And that just really kind of helps to work with Venerated and just say, you're not going to remove it, not right now. And then lately we've also been running a new card, which is Aspirant's Ascent. And it's not so much a pump spell as it is just giving a little bit bigger booty to the creature. The 3 toughness and the evasion with flying is nothing to sneeze at.
I do not run counters. However, I do run a draw spell in the deck that it does allow me to draw a card for 2 mana at instant speed. So if I am flooded out, that is nice to kind of toss in there. And the upside to that is it gives a poison counter to the opponent when you cast it. So at the end of their turn, if you have 2 mana open and they haven't really done anything to warrant a pump spell, you can just draw a card and give them a poison counter. Punish them for you drawing.
Right now, you'll see counter variants and then removal variants. And the removal variant is of the sideboard is what I'm running, which has Infectious Bite, which is a nice way to pump your creature, get rid of a blocker, and then give them a poison counter while still being able to attack into an otherwise unfavorable board.
So my sideboard, the shell is virtually the same. However, the small differences that we make is I run a counter package in mine. A 1 of Fluster Storm, a 2 of Minor Missteps. With the Minor Missteps, one of the biggest things in the meta is the Rhinos, the Living End, any of the, even turn 1 Bolt. It stops those. So when you play your turn 1 Glistener Elf, your Glistener Elf doesn't die to a Bolt.
I would say our best matchup right now is one of the slower, less interactive decks, which would be more of your domain style decks. We can pretty much outrace those pretty easily.
So I do not want to face Breach decks or Titan decks. If a Titan deck goes on a turn 2, turn 3 combo off, they're going to get creatures bigger than you can handle, and you're going to lose to Valakut or you're going to lose to Titan, double striking Titans. With Breach decks, they're just going to cast a bunch of spells and you're not going to be able to do much for a little while. Well, the way I look at it, it's a 50% off sale. You kill your opponent in half the time, and the match is really early. It has an explosive turn 1, especially if you run into a creature on turn 1, drop it, turn 2, start dropping your spells, especially if you have Mutagenic Growths in your hand. The more you have, the merrier. You can get a lot of damage or a lot of counters, I guess, on turn 2, should it connect.
Pretty much, if you're a fan of alternate win conditions or just ending a game quickly and going to get some lunch, Infect is a great deck for that, just because it outraces anything else.
That's all for this episode. We'd like to thank both James and Sebastian for sharing their version of Modern Infect. If you'd like to know more about this deck and their sideboards, just check the video's description. We'll have more content from this event, so please stay tuned and subscribe to the channel. We thank you for watching and hope to see you in our next video.